Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be looking and analyzing this 200 plus person tournament that just happened over this past weekend. It was the JDawg Showdown Brawl tournament. It was a $500 prize pool tournament. 6-2 would get you in terms of top cut. But basically it was a really huge tour. There's some former world championship competitors in this one. Including Wolfe Glick, to what I understand, right? I think he's down here somewhere. But at the end of the day, what I really wanted to do, and why I'm covering this, is because it's really the first big tournament post-World Championships, right? Besides the Japan Invitational, right? This was like a really big, in terms of like person size, this is a big one. And it's always good to look at some of these big tours just so you get a sense of like where the meta is currently at the given moment, right? Because remember, in September, within those first couple weeks, we have the 2024 season, again starting off with Pittsburgh regionals, and that will be Regulation D. So as of right now, August 20th, so it's a good idea to see where we stand in terms of like the meta, right? And then the victor, of course, was Michael Kelsk. And it's been Dragapult Chien-Pao with Vergraph again, right? Michael's been so consistent the entire season, man. But if we just take a look at the winning team, so basically it's Choice Band Dragapult with Terra Blast, Terra Ghost. No U-turn here, and there is Sucker Punch on this Dragapult. This Heat Trend is Assault Vest, right? So that's a pretty cool item to see on it. Still Terra Grass, where you have 4 attacks here: Heat Wave, Flash Cannon, Earth Power, okay, and Terra Blast, Terra Grass. The ChienPao is Icicle Crash. Of course, it makes sense. You have a Rillaboom on your team. You get around the Rocky Helmet shenanigans, and you get the chance to flinch. There's Crunch on this ChienPao rather than Sacred Sword, so that's another adaptation that some of these ChienPaos are going for, just to deal like super big damage into something like Cresselia. Scarf Urshifu, again, a little bit more speed control. There's no Tornadus Tailwind, so sometimes it's pretty much needed. And you get a repositional move with U-turn over here, but no U-turn on this Rillaboom, might I say. There is Citrus Berry with Protect. Okay, so that's also pretty interesting, along with Stomping Tantrum. Okay, and then the Vergraph is the Rocky Helmet idea with Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Trick Room, and Imprison, right, with Terra Fairy. So, again, relatively solid, consistent team. Somewhere Justin Tang is like celebrating eating a glizzy right now because, of course, Dragapult Chien-Pao takes another big tournament. So, is this something that is still going to be like relevant moving forward into Pittsburgh regionals? Absolutely. So this is one archetype that you're going to have to prepare for. And really, a lot of these top teams, it's very symbolic of the Regulation D format altogether, right? If we just look at this one from Christian, in second place, again, this is, another team where like, okay, maybe there's Tornadus here with with Fluttermane and then ChienPao Ursh, but it's actually Thunderous rather than the Tornadus, right? So that's another interesting adaptation. You have Wild Bolt Storm and then Thunder Wave for paralysis hacks, along with speed control. And then you get Eerie Impulse, which is really good at neutering special attackers, something like another Fluttermane, where you can just really, dampen their damage and maybe just force them to switch because they have so much special attack reduction. And then over here, very standard Heat Trans set, another Scarf Urshifu, Crash Chien-Pao with Rillaboom, of course. There's the Sacred Sword again. And then Fluttermane is just, 3 attack moves and Protector. So, so far, you're just looking at the squad like, okay, we're getting a lot of ChienPao Urshifu right away. But there's also some Cresselia Ursaluna teams, so let's look at that next. And then from there, look at the Rain teams, look at some of the Sun teams, just to see where some of these archetypes are coming in with, and then maybe even something like spotlighting some of these Hisuian-Arcanine sets, which we covered in our previous video, right? So let's move forward. Okay, so one thing I also wanted to point out with like these Ursaluna teams is not all of them have Cresselia, right? Some of them are still running this standard Sun team with like Indeedee, Armarouge, and Hatterene. And again, this was one of our 10 best teams that we said leading into the World Championships, and it's still true even now, right? So you have Indeedee, Armarouge, Mind Play. Oh, well, okay. That's just like, a substitute item for Twisted Spoon. Heat Wave, E-Force, Trick Room, Protect. No White Guard here. That's fine. Hatterene here has the Life Orb. Very standard set. Hisuian Lilligant, also very standard with Terra Ghost. And then the Torkoal is Specs with Eruption. And then Ursaluna is Headlong Rush Facade Swords Dance. This is a very punishing move for the opponent, especially if they want to intimidate it. So no gimmick move, not a gimmick move, but no tech move, something like Terra Ghost Shadow Claw there. It is Swords Dance, pretty good right now. Even Bulk Up is also relatively good. So shout outs to Johnny over there for another good Ursaluna team over here. But then we look at this one, another Indeedee Armarouge Ursaluna team, but this one has a fast mode to it with Urshifu, Roaring Moon, and Tornadus. So no Fluttermane on this one. Rain Dance Tornadus, along with Earthquake and Tailwind. Oh my goodness, this is a set. And Breaking Swipe. Okay. All right, very interesting. This one is actually weak armor, weakness policy Armarouge. So with stored power and Endure, okay, these are some sets here. There's the Terra Ghost Shadow Claw set that we like. But okay, this one's pretty cool. Where's another Ursaluna team coming in here? I saw a few down here. Here's another one, right? So, you know, Indeedee, Armarouge, Ursaluna, yet again. But here's Urshifu, ChienPao, and Tornadus. So again, another blend of a Trick Room core with a Tailwind core as well. So we call those Tail Room teams. But either way, you know, very interesting to see. Oh, this one has Scary Face Tornado. See all these tech moves so far? You know, it just changes how some matchups and teams are played just because you have different sets on some of the same Pokemon. This one has Earthquake and Facade rather than a setup move. And this is Swords Dance Urshifu with the Safety Goggles set, so that's also pretty cool. I think you can almost take off Aqua Jet here, you know, just because you have Psychic Terrain. Maybe it just helps a little bit, but that's just me. Is there another one here? Oh, alright, so here's another standard Cresselia Ursaluna team here. So this one has Cress, Ursaluna. There's the Swords Dance yet again. Ice Beam Cresselia, which is really good against something like Landorus or some of the other genies. Icy Wind Fluttermane, good speed control move on the Fluttermane. It's starting to rise a little bit. Icy Wind Fluttermane is actually really good. And then here's Iron Hands, very standard set here with Terra Water, of course, very good. And then the Dragon Knight is Life Orb rather than the Band, so they don't like being locked into an item. Understandable, right? I totally get it. And this one is actually the Dark Urshifu. Oh, that's cool. Yep. So another cool Cresselia Ursaluna team with Dragonite here. No ChienPao, I guess not needed, but that's still okay. So like overall, where are we in terms of like choice? So is the Ursaluna team still growing? Yeah, of course it's still strong. I think you can even find a couple within the 5-3 spectrum here. Here's another Ursula. Oh, this is the Sun variant. Oh, actually we have this. Well, no, we almost have this in our team builder, and I almost did a team building video on it. But Sun's the Farigiraf. This is actually the 5 that we also have as well. Really cool idea. Very standard and very easy to play also. So pretty cool Ursaluna team. Ursaluna Sun TR team over there. There's Clover Moltres, right? From Sebastian right here at 51. So that's pretty cool. And then is there another Crest Ursaluna team here? There is. Oh, here's another one with, you know, a Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and then the Urshifu. This is the standard Cresselia Ursaluna, right? Here's the Swords Dance yet again. Swords Dance Ursaluna is, you know, pretty much becoming a mainstay. There's another Icy Wind Fluttermane, right? There's the tech move. There's the choice specs. And then this one is Boomblast TR, Lunar Blessing, Helping Hand. Makes sense, right? With a lot of these options. So that's also pretty cool. But again, you can kind of see like some of these familiar cores within the Cresselia Ursaluna idea. Let's look at Madia's over here. This one is, okay. So this one is the Banded Dragonite with Ice Spinner. Okay, removing terrain. Swords Dance, there it is. Ally Switch instead of Helping Hand. Another Icy Wind Fluttermane. Right, so again, you're just looking at some of these Fluttermanes and you can realize, oh, like this is actually, you know, a good tech move here. Here's one more. This one has actually the Thundurus on it. So Thundurus here with Sunny Day makes a lot of sense here. To enable the Fluttermane, of course, and also maybe reduce Urshifu damage into the Ursaluna. Sometimes maybe Torkoal is just not so great, but altogether, you know, I totally understand this idea. Here's the substitute Fluttermane with Life Orb, rather. Makes sense, you know, because you have Sun coming from 2 different places, so might as well opt for a more damaging item, right? So I totally get it there. But this last, oh no, I thought this was like another Ursaluna team. This is just Cresselia with like Tinglu stuff. But you know, you see some familiar cores, right? You see some like fast modes onto these Ursaluna teams, and then you see like the slow mode. It's not like completely hard Trick Room, but again, yeah, that's kind of how you have to play it sometimes, because you need flexibility in a best of 3 tournament. You can't just only rely on hard trick room. You have to be able to play outside it as well, so this way you can kind of throw your opponent off, and it just gives your team more options as to how you play different matchups, right? So Scarlet Ursaluna, very, very good showcase here. Next up, I also wanted to take a look at some of the rain teams within the tournament, but before we even get into that, I also just wanted to showcase like maybe the evolution of the rain team within the Regulation D format, which is something that I wanted to do like a separate video around, so I guess we'll do that eventually. But if you just think about like what was the strong rain team leading into the World Championships, it was something like this. It was Pelipper with, of course, the Basculegion, right? Here's your offensive threat. And then from here you had the Amoonguss. Then you had the Thunderous, right? And the Thunderous idea was that, you know, with Volt Absorb, you're able to, you know, take in that attack from an opposing Iron Hands, which is really good into Pelipper and Basculegion. And the teams that ran like Iron Bundle, for example, you can just blow them up with your Electric type attack over here, right? So this was the starting idea. And then from here, you had like the Hisuian-Gudra and then Fluttermane in the back end to round out this rain team. And this was created by Devin, aka Team Spirit. So shout outs to Devin for still making a rain team that is even good, even right now, you know, within the Regulation D format. But this is like the standard coming in. But then the rain teams started to change and it started to adapt, and we kind of saw that, you know, within the World Championships, and then it carries over into this tournament that we had over the weekend, right? So let's look at some of the rain teams as of this moment. So here we go, Roberto's team. So Roberto's still running Pelipper, Amoonguss, and Basculegion, but there is no Thunderous here. Instead, we have Iron Hands, which I like. I think a lot of rain teams pretty much need that Iron Hands. It just adds so much balance there. It gives you fake out pressure. And then Gholdengo in the rain is another, you know, idea that was also still true in Regulation A. But again, we also saw within the World Championships, we saw it from Sempra, we saw it from some Italian players, but Gholdengo and ChienPao was the idea, you know, to support this rain concept. But here we have an Intimidate option with the Arcanine, regular Arcanine rather than Hisuian-Arcanine. Still makes sense. But again, you have Helping Hand and Hurricane, no water move on the Pelipper, and then instead you have Wide Guard and Protect. Rocky Helmet Pelipper, Basculegion is Life Orb, very standard here. Here's the Amoonguss Iron Hands concept. So I think this is your 4, right? Where as far as like where you start, and then here's your 2 flex options. This is Leaf Storm Amoonguss with Mental Herb, by the way, because you have the Rocky Helmet on the Pelipper. Makes sense because a lot of times, you know, teams want to taunt the Amoonguss, and then you kind of just have to get a way around that, you know, with of course your Mental Herb, and then you can just sport things. Ice Sponge Iron Hands is interesting. I guess that's maybe probably for like lander switch-ins, you know, that want to intimidate the Iron Hands. So good tech move there. Arcanine here, standard support set with Flare Blitz, Snarl-Will-O-Wisp, E-Speed, and then Choice Specs Gholdengo with Trick, right? So a really, really cool rain team. All right, Pelipper, Basculegion still very, very strong. I shout outs to Roberto, man. This is actually a really creative team. And then over here, where you have another rain team, this is the rain team we were talking about, right? With ChienPao and Urshifu. You know, so Urshifu becomes your rain sweeper rather than Basculegion, but you still have this concept of Pelipper, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and then of course Gholdengo within the rain. And because you have Amoonguss, you can also utilize the Nasty Plot concept to redirect attacks away from the Gholdengo, and then just click these hard hitting, make it rains. You have Tailwind support from the Pelipper over here, and then of course ChienPao, Urshifu. These are all Pokemon that thrive in the rain, especially. Just because your Urshifu does more damage in the rain, and with the ChienPao itself, reduced fire damage, you know, within the rain concept, right? But then you even look at it, you don't necessarily need the rain, right? You can actually leave the Pelipper at home, and then you can bring like ChienPao Ursh, you know, with Iron Hands in the back with a +1. So that also makes sense too. So, you know, again, a good flexibility where you can play outside of the rain as well, not necessarily have to bring Pelipper to every single matchup. But as we move forward here, and again, sometimes the, you know, Tornadus Rain Dance is also like considered a rain kind of idea, but I'm just looking at the Pelipper stuff. Here's another one, same 4, but is it the same set? Let's see. Looks like it, right? Leaf Storm, Scarf, and Heavy Slammer. Yeah, so this is the same exact team. Makes sense. And then as we go down into the 5-3s, is this also the same team? Let's see. Nasty Plot. Yeah, it's pretty much the same team, right? Which, you know, it was from the World Championships, might as well. So again, like I said, the evolution of that rain team has, you know, taken the squad to new heights as far as like rain uses. I think there was one more that we missed. Here's, oh no, this is the adaptability Basculegion, right? Yeah, this is Andrew's team that we showcased on the channel previously. And that's pretty much it. So again, as far as like where is Rain right now, you kind of just saw it. Oh, there's Palafin here. I just noticed that. But as far as like Rain is concerned, yeah, that is their premier Rain team with ChienPao, Urshifu, and Goldango, along with the standard core of like Pelipper, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, you know, just rounding out that Rain squad. We touched upon it in our previous video, but again, just looking at it now, and you kind of see just how good it is. But you know, just the Hisuian-Arcanine is just everywhere, man. It's so good, and I'm glad it's on the rise. It's a really, really good Pokemon. But just overall, the Intimidate idea on these teams, right? Just like, how many do we have here? So we have 32 top cut the top 30, right? And of the 30, there were 13 teams with Intimidate. And who are your Intimidators? Basically Landorus and Hisuian-Arcanine, but you get the occasional Gyarados, of course, you know, like with Marco Silva's team over here, which is basically the Neil team. And then from there, you might see the regular Arcanine, of course. That's also a pretty decent Intimidator. Not as good as some of the other ones right now, but definitely at least the Landorus and the Hisuian-Arcanine are your premier Intimidators as of this moment. Makes a lot of sense. You know, they're both not only just like an Intimidate option, but they're also an offensive option as well. So, you know, just looking at some of these sets here, let's look at this one with the Tornadus ChienPao. This is the Hirafumi team because this is the Calm Mind, right? This is the Choice Band. Hisuian-Arcanine, of course. Then as we go down here, is this pretty much the same team? Looks like the same 6. But again, not quite. Again, the adaptations here. So this is Moonblast and Taunt. All right, Icy Wind, Tornadus, Rillaboom, Stomping Tantrum, Choice Band. Pretty much almost the same team, right? Just like one adjustment there. Here's another one, the same 6. Again, prepare for this if you're trying to go to the September regional. You'll see this team a lot. But this is Icy Wind, Shadow Ball, and Protect, right? Goggles Ursh with Swords Dance, Head Smash with Choice Band, you know, the Terra Normal, of course. And then here's the Rillaboom with Stomping Tantrum, right? And then Tailwind, Taunt, Rain Dance. So same 6, but again, different adaptations. Let's see if we can find more. This one is the Seniors winning team with the Gastrodon and the Sylveon. So I'd like to know how he got this rental, because I don't think the user released the rental code yet, unless this person made their own spreads. But again, AV Arcanine is also pretty good. Makes a lot of sense here. This one is also interesting with Solo Dozo, but you know, Volcarona and Hisuian-Arcanine. So Intimidate screens. There's screens there. He put the screens last. All right, and then this is the Curse Fissure Dondozo. Okay, this guy's cooking. I don't know about that one. All right, and then here's some Wo-Chien. All right, a little bit of Wo-Chien action. Life Orb Arcanine with Protect. So that's also pretty cool. And then lastly, here, this one has Ferrograph on it. Here's the Bandit Arcanine. But again, Tornadus, Urshifu. So no ChienPao here. Very interesting. Instead, opting for a different option here with Ferrograph and Goldango. Makes a lot of sense. But again, you know, Arcanine, very, very strong fire type. It's here to stay. Really good against a lot of these options. Really good against Tornadus ChienPao just because of Stab, Rock Slide. You know, of course, you have the matchup into Rillaboom and Amoonguss. You pretty much one-shot Flutter Mane, of course, with Flare Blitz. And then from there, it's just a very, very good option to have against a lot of these matchups altogether. So shout out to Hisuian-Arcanine. And then now let's look at some other niche options in terms of Pokemon usage. So let's look at Gastrodon first. I feel like Gastrodon is always that Pokemon that always finds itself, you know, within the meta to have some role. And of course with Urshifu, you know, the Gastrodon will always have a place. So let's look at this one here with King Gambit too. So ChienPao with Landorus here. This is a very, very cool team, right? Gastrodon here with Yawn, Icy Wind, and Earth Power, Terra Poison. So that's pretty cool. As we go down here, you know, we found a few more Gastrodon. Here's the one from the Seniors team. Leftovers, Yawn, and Ice Beam, and Protect. So, you know, ice coverage is really good just for the Genie's sake. It's also a great partner for Hisuian-Arcanine, might I add. Then as we go down, I think there's like one more Gastrodon usage here somewhere. But, you know, it is just an option, especially if like some of these Urshifus are just dropping the close combat altogether. And then they're opting for, you know, just Surging Strikes and Aqua Jet, you know, either Swords Dance or Taunt and then Protect. Then Gastrodon usage just skyrockets, right? Because then you just completely wall the Urshifu And they're basically saying the Gastrodon is not common enough where I have to really worry about having a fighting move. But, you know, it just makes sense altogether. I think that's the same team there. So, you know, it's interesting to see. Like, could Gastrodon rise? Yeah, I think so. But we'll see. As far as like other Pokemon like Mimikyu, you know, these are, again, other options that deal with Dragonite ChienPao. Here's the Mental Herb with Player of Shadow Sneak, Trick Room, and Taunt. So that's pretty cool. Mimikyu set there on a Regidrago Tornadus team. Makes a lot of sense. Double Ghost type with Goldengo. Is there any other Mimikyu ideas or concepts here that we missed? But, you know, just Mimikyu overall is a pretty interesting Ghost Fairy to use over Fluttermane, but it does make sense. All right, that was the only Mimikyu here, so not too much there. But again, it's another one of those Pokemon where I expect it could do well. Just really depends on the certain team that you slap it on. But as far as like other options, this one has Articuno without Snow, but this is a Tailwind Articuno, so I guess just overall like Icy Wind and Freeze Dry, good support option there. But then where else are we looking at? Are we still? Oh, Volcarona is another one, right? So I you know, there's like a lot of good fire type that you can use, you know, and Volcarona is another one, you know, as well as Chi-Yu. But like Fiery Dance, Quiver Dance, Giga Drain, you know, this is really good against like Urshifu, you know, especially if you're like Terra Water. And then at the same time, you know, you have fire type attacks against, you know, grass types in general. So Flame Body, very, very good ability. This one's more offensive instead of using Rage Powder, which makes a lot of sense. It's okay. I think there's like yeah, here's another one, you know, with the Regidrago Tornadus. This one is Heat Wave Struggle, but there's the Rage Powder Volcarona, right? So, you know, just protecting your options here, hiding behind that redirection support, and then also the ability to exert some offensive pressure with Heat Wave and Struggle Bug is also pretty cool. Is there any other Volcarona here? Here's another one, right? Another 5 and 3. But Rocky Helmet Volcarona, that's one of my favorite ones. Here's Fiery Dance, here's Rage Powder, and Terra Blast, Terra Water. So pretty good into Heatran. You just have to be careful, right? The main thing was like it got walled by Heatran, but then Terra Blast, Terra Water kind of does a great job against that. But again, overall, oh, here's the ChienPao Landorus idea. Makes a lot of sense here. Any other Volcarona? I think there's at least, oh no, now we're getting to like the 4/4s. But Chi-Yu, another one that's also really good, especially on these Fluttermane teams with Glamora, right? I'm surprised to not see Dondozo here. I guess they opted for like more aggressive options with Urshifu and Landorus. You know, Dondozo has seen its light in the sun. You know, the first 3 regulations had some usage in the World Championships, but not a whole lot, because the power creep is just overpowering it, right? Anytime you can go 2v1 on it, especially with this power creep, is just very interesting. But Chi-Yu here with Snarl and Dark Pulse, you know, choice specs there. It's pretty cool. Here's another one. This is the Articuno version. This one is Life Orb Chi-Yu with Protect, Heat Wave, Overheat, Dark Pulse. Again, combos with Fluttermane. Almost every time you see Chi-Yu, you almost can guarantee a Fluttermane. And of course, from Marco's team, choice specs Chi-Yu, right? It just does so much damage. But, you know, again, just some of these niche options that, you know, I guess I don't even know if you can say that Chi-Yu is niche. It's still like very, very meta at the given moment. Here's the Dondozo Chi-Yu with Chi-Yu, Fluttermane, and then there's Dragonite ChienPao. This is almost a regular, yeah, this is pretty much a Regulation C team, right? Which comes back again here. But, you know, another very, very good way to use the Chi-Yu. So ultimately, that, you know, just like to wrap it up here, what are like the strongest archetypes? It's still pretty much the same idea leading into the Worlds. You're still going to see Dragapult and ChienPao, right? This is still a mainstay. You're still going to see this Neil team with Roaring Moon, Gyarados, Amoonguss, Chi-Yu. You're still going to see that. All right, you have the Trick Room stuff with Indeedee, Armarouge, and then Ursaluna in the back, along with Torkoal. Then you have the Cresselia Ursaluna teams like we also just talked about earlier. Then you have the what I call the Hirafumi 6, right? With Tornadus, ChienPao, and then Hisuian-Arcanine and Fluttermane, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, and then Rillaboom, right? You're going to see that a lot. The Rain teams, right? This idea of ChienPao, Urshifu, and Goldengo supporting this core of Pelipper, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, that's still here. That's the premier Rain team at the given moment, I would say. All right, the occasional Dondozo team will pop up, of course. Then after that, you'll see some Zapdos balance, right? With Zapdos and then Fire, Water, Grass core, and then Fluttermane plus some filler here. So usually this is like Landers, but here in this case it's ChienPao. Makes a lot of sense there. And then what else are you seeing in terms of like archetypes? Regidrago stuff, yeah, you're still gonna see Regidrago, and then the occasional Moltres, like I said. You know, I don't think we had a single Moltres within the top 30. Very, very sad, but still Moltres. We are full believers in the Galarian Moltres, right? That's why it worked in the World Championships, of course. But those are pretty much your top 6 archetypes as of this given moment. You know, just of course be prepared, and then keep paying attention to some of these big tournaments like this. It just allows you to see certain adaptations within certain Pokemon that are, you know, rising on the use. Like, of course, Icy Wind Fluttermane was one of them, right? We saw that a lot. Swords Dance, Ursaluna is another way to combat, you know, the Trick Room stuff. So, you know, just some of these move sets, right? And again, it's always good to like analyze some of these tournaments rather than just like only spamming ladder or spamming tours. You have to take a step back and say, you know what, let me look at these tours, let me study them, let me see what's being used and being played. Granted, you can get that when you play on the ladder, but like it's different when you can look at it in a tournament setting on a limitless sheet like this. So, but yeah, let me know what you think overall of the tournament, and let me know what you think of Dragapult Chien-Pao. Is there something here we missed in terms of like our tournament analysis? But pretty much, you know, you're going to see a lot of Trick Room teams, you're going to see a lot of Tailwind, Offense, and then the occasional balanced teams with the standard Fire, Water, Grass core. But overall, you know, the meta as of this moment, you'll still see the same archetypes, just like certain adaptations with certain movesets here and there, just to make adjustments, you know, for given matchups. All right, but we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.